as inferior, and sometimes in some civilizations as essentially evil. So she's supposed to be the great seductress, the weaker kind, etc. That Adam and Eve myth, interpreted as it was later on in history, led to profound conceptions of the woman as inferior, and sometimes in some civilizations as essentially evil. So she's supposed to be the great seductress, the weaker kind, etc. This was not the case in the African mythology. So that you already had a divine myth which gave a basis. It was a sort of bedrock for a reality that could give the woman greater freedom and power. It is not an accident, therefore, that many of the goddesses of the Europeans were black. They could have chosen their own women, they chose some of their own women, but the most important goddesses were black. Not just for the African now, in the civilization of the Greek. The Greek was so profoundly affected by the Africans that the goddess of chastity was a black woman, Artemis. The goddess of wisdom was a black woman, Minerva. The goddess of beauty was a black woman, Diana. And many of their great mythological figures which were critical to the vision of history, the history of the Greeks in the Odyssey. The woman who has the power to draw Odysseus and all his crew into her, is Circe, who is represented as a black woman with African features on the Greek vases. The woman who helps Jason win the golden fleece is a black woman, Medea. The woman who marries Perseus, the Greek hero, is a black woman, Andromeda. If you see them represented in Hollywood, they're all white. But if you go back to the original vases, the original art of the Greeks, you will find that the only women they could find to represent the finest attributes in the feminine world were black women. Actual black women. They were literally living black women in Ethiopia who were made into legendary goddesses in Greece. That first invasion of Africa by Europe was not an invasion like the invasions that occurred later. The European was startled by the advances of the Africans. So startled that Alexander decided to build his capital in Africa rather than go back into Europe. And every major Greek thinker, Thales of Miletus, Democritus, Pythagoras, Eudoxus, Anaximander, Anaximenes, Heraclitus, they all came down. Plato, all of them came into Egypt, and those who did not come claimed they came because it was so prestigious. And they therefore saw women differently. In this new edition of Black Women in Antiquity, there is a remarkable woman called Hypatia.
You said what?
For a long time we thought she was a Greek woman, until Beatrice Lumpkin, doing studies in the rights of women in ancient Greece, found that black women had power and freedoms that the white woman was not allowed. The Greek woman could not head a department in a university, but she could in Egypt. She could not pursue a scientific pursuit without a companion or someone in charge of her. It was possible in Egypt, so that when she studied Hypatia and the freedoms Hypatia had and the kind of work she was doing, it was easy to come to the conclusion no Greek woman at the time was allowed those opportunities. And in that Alexandrian world where you have a mix later of the Greek and the African, you find the African woman has certain advantages that the Greek woman does not have and was not to have for a long time to come. Now, Isis, the great goddess, affected, as I say, Europe as deeply as she affected Africa. All major European powers built shrines to the black goddess Isis. Even the Roman lunatic Caligula built a shrine to Isis.
You're gorgeous, lady. You're gorgeous. You're on mute though.
Mr. Deity.
Mama alone.
Sorry, yes, I was on mute. Thank you for telling me. I'm trying to get this.
Oh, it's time to grab your glasses, family. It's time for us to get started. I'm so excited. Sitting up here getting magic. Getting magic rock.
Yeah.
Shots out.
Yellow boy.
Here we go.
Graduated. That was nice. That on Facebook.
So he was
Drink your water.
Lounge chair.
Come on. Drink your water, but first,
Oh my
take your
God.
breath and drink some water. Take your breath.
Yeah, I know we
Take
live.
your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Take your breath and drink some water.
Good morning.
Take your breath.
Good morning.
Drink.
I don't
Drink.
see Elder Eunice's number in here.
Or should I say, breathe, then drink. Take a breath. Take your breath.
This is California. I'm going on move.
Grab your
We are
breath.
about to start in a few minutes, so family.
Lift your
Bear
picture
with us.
of that water.
As this council gathers,
Get that picture of
me
that
call
water.
make sure our young man is ready.
Simply pour some water. Drink, drink. Or should I say, lift, pour, then drink.
How about somebody that receives water too?
Now move your body and drink some water. Move your body. Move your body and drink some water. Move your body. Move your body and drink some water. Bam. Just move your body. Drink. Or should I say, move, then drink. Move your body. Now raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Raise your glass and toast your ancestors, fam. Just raise your glass. Drink.
Elder Phillips.
Or should I say, raise, toast, then drink.
How you doing?
Take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Lift and pour yourself some water. Pour. Move your body, drink some water. Move it. Raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Breathe, lift, move, toast. But remember to stay healthy. Remember the four pillars. Breathe, drink, eat, move. Drink half your weight.
Anybody else?
Eat a culturally appropriate diet. Behave. Take your breath.
Yeah,
Come on.
they were all on.
Lift and pour. You can do it. Move your body. Come on. Toast your ancestors. Drink up. Come on. Drink it.
But the most important goddesses were black. Not just for the African now, in the civilization of the Greeks. The Greek was so profoundly affected by the Africans
Training our
that
young
the
ladies
goddess
to
of
become
chastity was
goddesses.
a black woman, Artemis. The goddess of wisdom was a black woman, Minerva. The goddess of beauty was a black woman, Diana. And many of their great mythological figures which were
Learns the
critical
way of values.
to the vision of history, the history of the Greeks in the Odyssey.
Get your copy.
The woman who draws, who has the power to draw Odysseus and all his crew into her, is
Once
Circe,
again, the
who is
warrior
represented as
learns
a
the
black
way
woman
of
with
value.
African features on the Greek vases. The woman who helped Jason win the golden fleece is a black woman, Medea.
Get your copy at
The woman who married Perseus, the Greek hero, is a
"11 Steps, Considerations for Empowering African-Centered Organizations" by Elder Mariba Kelsey. Get your copy of this special report created by a man that has been organizing in our community for 75 years. Get your copy at maribakelsey.com. All right, on to the show. All right, first off, somebody got to turn that background down. That we can't do that. We got mute your mics. Somebody's trying to watch this show and be online. You can't do that. Be online or watch the show. That's Gina. It's real life here at Gye-Nyame Journey. Check. Oh my God.
What?
My daughter. That was my daughter. Hold on. Lord have mercy. Here we go. Let's transition in. There we go. Join the Tawi Family Village. You can see it at the top for all those that would like to make donations. You can see it streaming at the bottom. We are about to start this family. Remember your ancestors, because, we do this in lieu of the Daily Toast. So we want everybody to be aware and be conscious of your ancestors. So if you would take a couple of seconds to think of your personal ancestors that you would love to remember at this time, and go on, pour a libation for them. So right now I'm going to turn it over to whoever is supposed to be leading the process. Let's pop off.
Oh, I have a question.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Alona.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us for a divine conversation. We, on this day, talk about the things that were presented to us on the second Sunday of Parank. And we first, as Brother Hatim has opened, we recognize our ancestors. We've done that. Also on Divine Conversation Day, have basic announcements that we can put out there. If we have any, we'll take about, 5 or 6 announcements from our community on and begin like that. And then we'll turn it over to Nation Builder Kwame to start the conversation. So do we have any announcements from the community?
No, I don't have an announcement. Just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Tim. I went to the Uber conference that you gave me, Alona, and mine just hi, welcome to Tim's conference. And I muted my phone. I muted the microphone.
So, but other units, we can hear you, so you are in.
No, I'm on my phone.
I think it's, I can't help you, so.
Okay, that's all right. Go ahead. That's all right.
Okay.
We want to announce that we got on June 20th, we will be having a DigiFest. We will be joined by Brother Philip Shock Matthews, as well as Brother Dr. Kamathi Gray Carr. So family, be sure to stay tuned and listen in, because we will be coming out with the the exact times for each individual, as well as some of the bands that we will be performing during that day. So, DigiFest, June 20th, 2020.
Any other any other announcements? Sister Navita, you had sent out a text. Do you want to announce what that is about?
Again?
I don't know what was the text? I'm sorry, I don't
On
remember.
4340, a pop-up with Elder and Alma.
Oh yeah, I don't have. Yeah, if you read, you can read it. That would be nice.
I don't have one.
Okay. Let me find it.
Okay, well I'll read. Let me look it up. I just didn't have it in front of me, but I know that the Wadi Bookstore, they're going to be doing a pop-up, and that's going to be. Let's see. He didn't even send it here. Let me see here. And if anyone's not familiar with the Wadi Bookstore, it's a Black-owned bookstore here in Columbus, Ohio. I don't see the
Oh, you probably did it on Messenger.
Yeah, that's what I think I did, but I'm still looking to see.
Okay, but I'm better at Messenger. Not that. I'm better at Messenger these days. Let me see. I got it. This Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, Zawadi Books, your one-stop shop, and Alma Corner will be doing a pop-up from 10 a.m. until at 4343 East Livingston Avenue. And this came from Elder Alumala Akawumi.
When is that?
It's today.
At 4343?
Yes.
10 to what? I'm sorry.
I just lost it. Wait a minute.
I didn't get that.
4343 East Livingston.
And what's the time?
10 until.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If there are no other announcements, Nation Builder Kwame, would you start directing our intergenerational conversation as it relates to Malcolm X?
Word. So, a few Imani days back, we were gifted with hearing an intergenerational perspective on Malcolm X. First, starting with one of our young warriors, Levon Ka, who unfortunately will not be with us today, but briefly, he dealt with being able to overcome and work through despite what all we're faced with. Looking at that from Malcolm X's perspective, and he understood that if Malcolm X was an example, then that's an example that he can follow. Next on the line, we had coming up Brother Hatem, and he will give you a briefing on what he spoke on, followed by Elder Cliff Bowie, and he will give you a briefing on what he spoke from. And lastly, we were treated with wisdom from Baba Kelsey, and he will brief you on what he spoke, and then we will engage in conversation. So, in place of Levon, as I said, not being here today, we have another one of our young warriors who is also a treat to hear. So, without any further ado, Kai, will you take it away, my brother?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Brother Takis, and so the last, I wasn't available to be on to be able to speak last time, but I did get a chance to hear, I believe, some of Baba Kelsey of what he said, and I was so enlightened by what he said, and so for me, when I come to think of Malcolm X, it was kind of like his way of being, and I love like the whole idea about the ways of being that he embodied and everything. So, yeah. So then, when I come to think of him and think about my life, I start to think about my ways of being, and then not only in my life, I think about others. So then, for instance, my uncles had went through some negative experiences in their life, which caused them to change constantly, and so my family, especially my aunt, would do things to try to not hide us from those experiences, but get us ready for those. And the ways that she would do this is like teaching us our math, making sure that we knew how to count, making sure that we were able to be involved in the community. I'm sorry, was somebody trying to say something? Oh, okay. So, yeah, making sure that we was involved in the community and making sure that we knew our history. So I got a chance to like study Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, everybody in the book. And last year I got a chance to speak at the 2019 Malcolm X Festival, which I was so honored to do. And so yeah, I wrote a piece basically about embracing my melanin and embracing everything about me. So here we go.
Hello.
All right, so it goes, to be kissed by the sun, to have melanin embedded in your skin is a gift. Not one that we choose, but something that we cherish. Even though society will expect us to have tendency and our black roots in our teeth, while our parents are supposed to hang low like the poverty lines in our city, but we are way more. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. So don't ever expect us to settle down. See, I was born to be great. And with that being said, being born to be great is kind of like with Malcolm X, like he was born for so much more, and it took time to realize that. And for me, it's taken me time to realize that, and I realize and I grow daily, and I push forward. And so, yeah, do anybody have any questions on anything?
We'll hold off on the questions for right now. We'll let everybody give their summaries, Brother Ty, and then we'll have follow-up questions.
Okay.
All right, Brother Hatem, you want to take up? We'll hold off on the questions for right now. We'll let everybody give their.
Somebody watching it in the background. I hope that ain't one of my kids again. Well, y'all know Brother Hatem don't have a lot to say. I'm a very quiet person, and I'm very shy, and I find it hard to put my words together to discuss these type of things, especially when it comes to talking about great people like Malcolm X. But I'm gonna try to do my thing. Hold on, I need to drink a little bit because I'm kind of nervous and my throat is dry. Okay, but in all seriousness, the piece that I was trying to cover with Malcolm X.
Yeah, because you ain't never been no shy. Let's just get that out there. We know that's a joke, because you ain't never been no shy when it comes to talking.
You don't know my struggles. Y'all don't know my struggles. I struggle every morning to get up here and get in front of this camera. But anyway, family, the piece that I wanted to cover about Malcolm X was the way that he had the foresight to talk about the power of media. The power of media. And I detailed a personal story, which is kind of funny because I'm gonna bring it back around to what happened to me recently after we had this conversation 2 weeks ago. And I posted a picture. But anyway, Malcolm X, one of the things I talked about was my personal experience and my first encounter with Malcolm X. Being at a public library in Akron, Ohio called the Worcester Avenue branch. As a matter of fact, they have had a picture of Malcolm X on the side of the building as long as I can remember. They got Malcolm X, Sojourner Truth, and Frederick Douglass up on the front of that building. And this picture has been up there forever. You know what I'm saying? My lifetime. Let me say that. Well, anyway, in there, I saw a video of Malcolm X sitting in the park talking to a reporter surrounded by kids. And he was talking to them how they can use the media to change black folks' relationships in America. Our relationship with America and America's relationship with us. How media could be used. And I just wanted to bring that up because I feel that we still had an opportunity. Now we don't have to wait for news cameras to be around, and we don't have to be as savvy as Malcolm X was with them. We could use media as we are doing right now to really not only change our own perspective, but to change the perspective of the world about us and our relationship. And but now let me go into what happened to me. So I shared my story with y'all last week, 2 weeks ago. And then also I shared a picture of the military because a lot of people didn't believe that that I had served in the military. And I recently, I'm talking about in the last 4 days, found out that I was being sued, or my fault, that I owed a debt to the United States government of over $10,000 that they say I owed since 1993. All of a sudden, now I am being hounded by creditors or a creditor company saying that they want this money from a fee that was from something they claim that I owed from over 20 years ago. So family, Malcolm X is still relevant. Because it's like none of this started happening until my family wanted me to talk about Malcolm X, and I'm sending every last one of you, Alona, Dr. Kelsey, Brother Kwame, Sister Navita, and whoever that was laughing, I'm sending y'all an invoice for $2,000 to $3,000 a piece because y'all got me on here talking about Malcolm X, and now my life is ruined.
Get him.
I give up the rest of my time.
Go ahead, Brother Akshay. Wow.
Well, thank you for that, Brother Hatim. And yeah, we got your back. Elder Cliff, if you are available, could you please take the mic?
I'm sending him an invoice too.
Elder Cliff, if you are available. All right, maybe we'll come back to him now.
Elder Cliff, unmute yourself.
Yes, I am available. It's just I am going to be working all during this time, so I'm going to try to be succinct in what I say. My time that I tried to express on Malcolm X had to do with looking at it from a child's point of view because I was alive during, his time that he was alive and how he influenced me from a child's viewpoint. Because a lot of time as we become elders and warriors and nation builders, we can forget that, yes, that might be our stage in life, but we were all once a child. Excuse me. that being said, the way it was for me, Malcolm X influenced me by watching him as a charismatic hero of his day, of his latter years, and seeing how it changed him, reading his book at a young age, and also adopting many of the principles of which he adopted. But he's tried to, I remember him saying that, in other words, yes, it's great to adopt these principles, but don't idolize me. Utilize these tools to better yourself as he had done, which is what I have tried to demonstrate and do with my own life by basically saying, look, all I do is I'm a reflector of the teachers and wisdom of those who came before me. And had they not done such a good job, I would be a lousy example to set for those who are to follow me. And Malcolm, his whole life demonstrated, and I guess the best way for us to see it in this day and age is to do a movie that Spike Lee did. Now, there was a few more movies that came out before Spike Lee's, but Spike Lee's probably had the best impact on giving people an understanding of a viewport into his life and what it could be like in a visual representation. Malcolm's, not only did his life impact me as a child, but as a teenager, I named my son was named Malcolm because of his impact on me, and also the principles that we have tried to adopt. You know, we may not even think about the Nguzo Saba and those 7 principles, but how they come right up out of the thrust and workings of Malcolm's input of do for self. You see a lot of you all may have forgotten that the Nation of Islam's magazine was, before it was the final call, it was called the mess. If I'm incorrect, if it's incorrect in what I'm about to say, it still was. This was the intent. The Message to Black Man was one of Elijah Muhammad's books, but also the magazine also stressed the point of saying, look, the newspaper stressed the point of us reaching across the globe towards our African ancestors and uniting. So again, those Nguzo Saba principles were impacted by even Malcolm X. So my thing is, Malcolm X's impact can be seen and felt. If you are looking, you will see and feel them. But if you're not, you'll just equate them to somebody else. And a lot of times, when we equate things outside of ourselves, we usually equate them to the European because he's got to sign off on it first. I'm not a person that advocates that is the way we should live, though. My point is, do for self, be for self, and be of self. That's the first stanza I'll stand on, folks. Ashe.
Ashe.
Giving thanks. Thank you for that, Baba Cliff. And please give Mama Debbie our love.
Ashe, I will. Now, I'll be back and forth, off and on mute.
All right. So next coming up was Baba Kelsey. You online, Baba?
Yeah, boy.
All right. Good to hear that strong voice coming through. Please give Mama Nyambe our love and go ahead.
All right. Well, first I want to give thanks to the Creator and to all of our ancestors. And I want to give thanks to my wife because she stood by me through thick and thin and continues to do so. And I'm grateful to all of you in Tawi Family Village because I have serious meaning in that family portion. That because you truly are my family, and I want to let you know that. And so the comments that I made about Brother Malcolm, I just want to give the themes of those comments and some principles, because I think that it's important for us to keep Malcolm alive. Let's not let them create the illusion for us that he is dead, but he's present in each one of us, and so it's important for us to recognize what principles he laid out for us to maintain his living spirit throughout eternity. First, I proudly wanted to say to you that he and I were peers, just the same age, 1 month apart. He was May the 19th, and I'm June the 22nd, same year, 1925. So that means that both of us will be finishing our 95th year this year. So I'm proud to say that, because you need to know that life goes on, and that we all have dark periods in our life, as Malcolm did. But the important thing is that when Malcolm made the decision, and we all can make the decision to change his name, he not only changed his name, but he changed his spiritual life. He changed the name of the organizations that he related to. He changed his mental, the way he went about things mentally. He was uncompromising, and that means that he believed in African-centered almost everything, and he didn't compromise. He said, "I want liberation," and he never said that I want to live just desegregation or integration. He said, "I want liberation," and we must. If we say we're standing on his shoulders, that means we're keeping them alive, and we're uncompromising. That we will want liberation, and we will build our principles and understandings and agreements around liberation, not around the fact that I have some idea that I think is supreme, but more around the fact that I want liberation, and this agreement that we are moving toward, and notice I'm saying that we are moving toward, will lead us to liberation, not desegregation. I want to emphasize that, because all of our schools, many of our churches, many of our organizations, and many of our groups that we are part of, no matter whether that's fraternities, sororities, and all those things, tend to teach us to be compromising in our position, and I want us to recognize that that's not the Malcolm in us. We all got Malcolm in us, and Malcolm didn't come and leave. He's still here. The other thing that I want to say is that it is important for us to demonstrate the ability to organize, because Malcolm, if you recall, in a matter of about 10 years, he moved the Nation of Islam from about 500 people to 30,000. And that was through his ability to organize. And we must do that. Tawi, come on now. We must organize. And it's important that we reach outside and begin to demonstrate to others to make them want to come, so that we too can move from 500 or whatever the number is presently to a large number, and have the same themes that Malcolm had throughout. He never changed. And I guess I want to kind of stop there, because I don't want to take up the question and answer time. And what I'm trying to do is say that we have some themes that I think are important. Malcolm believed one was Kuchachak Leah, and that's self-determination. Once he made that self-determination, nothing changed him. He was uncompromising. And so I'd like us to be that way. So let me close by saying that victory, it can be within our hands if we choose to do so. And it is not that white supremacy can control us in any way if we choose not to allow it to do so, because we are at the heart of what of ourselves, and we must make one be the most powerful number among us. We are one. Peace, brothers and sisters. If you have questions around what I said either today or last time, I'd be glad to respond to them. I can say more, but I want to listen to your questions.
Does anyone have any questions offhand? If so, I will defer, but if not, I'll go ahead and add this little piece then. So, Baba Kelsey, you started off by speaking to Mama Nyambe being at your side and the support through your journey. And analogous to that, you know, we have actually a brother out of Atlanta there, with Brother Wakesa, who he wanted us to take a look at how did the individual get to where they were. And, you know, offhand, not offhand, but purposely, you mentioned your wife. And, you know, I think of the support system that Malcolm had while growing up, that he had around him. But I also journeyed off into Betty Shabazz's childhood. And you talked about the growth of the Nation of Islam under Malcolm X. And there in Detroit, where Betty Shabazz ended up and growing up, she became part of a housewives league as a junior member. And there is where she learned how to organize.
Yes.
And so, and under the leadership of one of the ladies that as a teenager she was chosen to honor, they grew the Housewives League in Detroit from like, I mean, it was, I think it was something like 40 to somewhere in the area of like 10,000 or something like that within like a 3 to 5 year period.
Right.
Yeah. And so I mentioned this for even the rest of us to comment on, that we are not universal orphans in the sense that we have these people who we have great esteem for, but unfortunately, when a lot of times they're presented to us, they're presented as though they came out of out of nowhere.
That's right.
Not to talk about the support systems they had around them. And so if you or any other one of our panelists would like to comment to, you know, their support systems that help them to get through where they're at or where they're going. And I'll beg off.
Well, I'll if the others want to comment, I'll yield. But if there's nobody else who want to comment, I would say that no man stands alone. It is extremely important that in all of our efforts that we recognize that there's always been sisters who have been by our side, or sometimes we've been following in their footsteps sometimes. And that we must never forget that, because And the other part is that we never forget that we have heroized some people to the extent that they become non-functional. They're just they're celebratory, and that's all. And we don't learn from them because we don't delve into what got them where they were, and how they and that it was somebody's, including both male and female, who helped them get to the position they are in. And the fact of the matter is, I'm challenging all of us to. I think I did this last time. If not, I'm going to do it right now. To say, go back and look at those sayings from the sisters that were around you that had that we might call proverbs or words of wisdom that you're still carrying with you, because those are the things that help shape who we are now. We just forgot them a lot of times, and certainly as the sisters organized in the Nation of Islam, they were moving right along with the brothers who were organized. And I don't think we give them enough credit either. And I appreciate you bringing that up.
I'll call on Brother Hatem. Go ahead and talk about, pick a member who's been a great support to you and how they help you in your Malcolm X walk.
Well, I don't have no Malcolm X walk, brother. I'm too shy. I can't get up in front of people and talk like that. It causes a lot of pain in my life, a lot of suffering, and so I just stay quiet. But in all seriousness, now, because I wanted to kind of respond to what Doc was saying, I'm gonna hit your point, and then I'm gonna try to bring it back around. Now. So far as Gye-Nyame, sisters have always, in a sense, been the foundation. Like sisters come in and they handle business. They have been far better organizers than many brothers. I ain't gonna say all of them. Far better organizers. For example, that helps me in Gye-Nyame. My daughters, were some of the first ones to step up, and they was real good at helping us keep it organized, as Afua and Keisha. But then now we got Sister Tracy that plays a major factor, that's putting together the newsletter as we speak right now, and help keep me sane in our place of business. And then also we got Sister Navita, who always is yelling and reminding Brother Hatem that I'm talking just because I got lips and stuff like that. And, she always is willing to give me the truth, which is a very, very important thing when we're organizing, because in order for us to hold on to unity has to be bound in truth. And when we start straying away from that, we need people to, remind us, look, maybe you might need to wipe off your glasses, homie. You know what I'm saying? And the sisters have been able to do that. But also going off the piece that you said with that league growing something from 40 to 10,000, we might be studying some of the wrong people in history, because if those sisters was able to organize that, the question we might need to ask ourselves, if they went from 40 to 10,000, because Kwame, you the numbers dude, going from 40 to 10,000 is a bigger jump than going from 500 to what, 30,000? I mean, the numbers is kind of close there, is it not? And they did that locally.
Mm-hmm.
So we might need to look at some of the methods that they use, because we could do it. We doing some things with Tawi. We doing things with Gye-Nyame Journey, and there's things going on in this city. But I'm thinking that if we was to have some of that organizational information that y'all just dropped, you know what I'm saying, I think it will help us move to the next level a lot faster. And with that, I yield the rest of my time. I'm still sending out those invoices. I see some other people on here that I'm going to be sending invoices to as well. Thank you for bringing Malcolm X alive, Dr. Kelsey. You right, Doctor. You're right. Malcolm X is alive because he got these white people on my back. Thank y'all very much, and I stop.
Yeah. Well, I think I certainly think we're on the right track when you say we're going to use some. I certainly think that we're on the right track when we say that we're going to look at study those methods of organizing, and keep in mind now that they were organizing around not only changing the physical, but they're changing the mental, the physical, and the spiritual as they organize. That means they began to eat right, sleep right, meditate right, and act right. And so I think that it is absolutely critical that we study the inner workings of what was happening during that period of time. I guess I was trying to emphasize also, let's celebrate each other and celebrate the major figures, but let's not celebrate them the way that the European would like us to have just a holiday around them. It's important for us to celebrate them by following principles that they stood for, so that we can see them alive and keep them alive that way, rather than just having a day or celebration for them.
I say, some of the methods that were used, in many respects, are really quite well known to us. First of all, they had meetings wherein they discussed the issues. For example, at that time, in the 40s and 50s, it was a question of who are hiring Black people, and if the people that you had to get your goods from could not treat you with respect or hire Black people, then you did what you could to discourage that they're patronizing those places. And the other part, which was a big part, was canvassing, because within canvassing, you met with hostile people and you learned how to handle them, with respect, but, you learned how to handle them. Because as girls, they would go to these different households, some of them who knew of their work and would, say, oh, sure, I want to be a part of that. You're the reason why my husband was able to, get a job here, there, and, such a thing. But also, there were those who could get almost hostile in the sense that, they didn't think it would do any good. And so, you learned how to face that and to go on. And, but those are just some ideas, but I've spoken too long. Brother Taikis, speak to who have been some of your support systems that help you get to your Malcolm X walk of life.
Man, it's like too many people to name. Like I've encountered so many people that mentally throughout my whole life, and it's like, and I'm so grateful for that because like I wouldn't be who I am today without them. But just to name off a few, it would be just Gye-Nyame journey in general. Simba, one of my mentors, Caroline. I've just encountered a new mentor to help me with my business that I'm creating. Stay tuned for that. It's called Pop Out Wellness Repair. It's in Caroline, and one of them, her name is Dawn, and like there's just so many people that has helped me, and I'm grateful for it. And that I was really thinking.
Slow down on them commercials, young man. Slow down on them commercials. That's a free commercial. You getting an invoice too.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you said, because like most of the people
I see him laying down the law.
Most of the people that do great things in their life, some of them fall off because they forget the path that they went through. They forget the steps that they took to becoming great, and then that causes them to fall off. And then, like, that's what I listen to with a lot of people that I'm influenced by. Like, dang, they started to fall off because they forgot the steps that they took. They forgot the routine and stuff. So that's what I really got from that conversation that you started to have with don't forget where you came from type life. That's the type of life that I got from that. So yeah.
Word. Word.
She's breaking up a lot on my end. I don't know if everybody's hearing that.
Yeah, I hear it.
I'm not sure where that's coming from.
I hear it.
He probably on an iPhone.
What's they got to do with anything? But anyway, Elder Cliff, did you have any more words of wisdom, my brother, in relation to some of the support systems you had around you that helped you to stand as strong as you have for these many years?
Well, mine is not too much different, but I just want to bring out a point that some of you may have heard and some of you may not have heard. You know, Malcolm always pointed out the fact that no nation can rise higher than the level of its women. If its women are not rising, the nation is not rising. There's the first primary teacher. If she's not achieving, we're not going to achieve. And we have got to understand that in present day terms as well. But in my particular journey, my first support person was, it wasn't only my mother, but my mother was my primary support in this sense. My mother had a sixth grade education, okay? But I could talk to my mother about physics, thermodynamics. I could talk to her about math. I could talk about world geography, politics, anything. Ask her any and everything. But she had enough wisdom on knowing how to answer and inspire me to go forward with those answers and even to find those answers on my own. Because in Doc and many of you may know, in my childhood days, the internet was the public library. Take you anywhere you want to go, get you anything you want to know, and having a library card was, that was like gold. Because in Cincinnati, we had a fairly new library at that time. And, you know, it was considered a modern one in the state. And I just love to just go and sit amongst the books. And then in that sense, the sitting amongst the books, to me, is like sitting amongst the ancestors, sitting at the footstool of our ancestors and gaining their knowledge. But sometimes, you know, that isn't always possible for us to do. But when you have books, hey, as long as you can find one, you're there. That was my motto. But back to the point of support systems. As most of you know, if seen even beyond where I am now, you know that my approach was, if I was doing something, my mate had to be there in the same vein, doing the same thing. That's always been my approach from adulthood on. Any mate that I had in my midst, whether it be girlfriend, husband, wife, or whatever, we had to be doing these things jointly. Now, that is something that I also saw in Elder Kelsey. My entire almost 50 years of being around Dr. Kelsey to now, I always felt that the woman had to be with me as a partner, not just as a mate. You know, some people lose track of what that term means. You know, partner, they think, well, you just fulfill your role, I fulfill mine. No, it means that I build upon my role and I help you build on your role and vice versa. And we together build if for contemporary terms, a power couple. You know, but back to Malcolm's plight. Malcolm, I learned some things before, but I also had them revealed to me. For those of you who don't know, Malcolm's father was a member of the United Negro Improvement Association, chief leader there and builder during Marcus Garvey's day. His mother was a chief secretary in that same organization, hence power couple, but not seen that way by the greater society. But within our communities, we saw this. His father got killed. If you've probably seen in a couple of even the movies, they illustrated the point. He got killed by some rogue white people. Mother got basically her life destroyed through mental illness, as it's been said, and also putting her in a situation where mental illness became part of her life. But Malcolm ended up being raised by his elder sister. And they did an interview on Interlight Radio matter of fact, last week, coming out of, they coattail off an interview coming out of Houston with this sister. And this sister had a very strong tone on how she guided Malcolm. And she's still alive, which is kind of ironic. At least this is what they gave me impression that she was still alive. And it may have been delayed for all I know. But the point was, she was one of Malcolm's chief advocates on helping steering him towards his development. She was one of his backbones that gave him insight and things. And she was one of the one, if you will, that taught him to have the most respect for women. Because looking back, and I can see where it comes from, realizing how his mother held it together while his father was off doing things, and when his father died, she was his chief leader. Then, having getting bounced around and going with his sister, again, that strong woman figure keeping him strong. So you see, well, we see the strength in Malcolm, and we forget that it wasn't just men only that was behind him in his teaching.
That's right.
It was a whole community of men and women, and a lot of strong women keeping him focused. So we kind of forget that you gotta have both sides of this coin working for you to keep going. And the stronger that woman is, even though you got strong brothers, the stronger that woman is, the stronger that man will constantly be. If I may say, and I'll turn it back over to others to add more to it. Now I'll be back off on mute because, like I said, I'm working at the same time.
Can you hear me?
That, yes, ma'am.
This is Elder Rahani speaking, and I give honor to our ancestors and to the community and to the shoulders we stand upon. My support network was my family, the elders in our family. We didn't have television. We had the elders. We sat around and listened to them talk about Marcus Garvey. And we just sat and listened to them. And we were at awe of what they would say. Because we came from out of the 11th Avenue And that was before there was a Windsor Terrace. It was 11th Avenue. And we came from there. And we came out of there, and my grandparents came from here, over here off of, over here by Champion, the housing place over here by Champion. I can't think of it now. It'll come to me. I can't think of it now. Grandpa had a 4th grade education.
Poindexter.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Poindexter.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but it was right beside Poindexter. There's a street there, and I can't think of it now, but it was right beside Poindexter because we was at Poindexter when I was in Mama's belly, and she was at Poindexter. That's what I can say. It came from Hawthorne. I'm sorry, it's Hawthorne. Y'all remember that street? Sits right there on the side.
Yeah.
Okay, it's still there. That's where my grandparents, and they bought a house over there at 11th Avenue, and I live with Mama came from six children. She graduated from North High School. Six out of all the black folks, 6 black folks that graduated when my mother graduated from North High School. But so we had a history of political education because we talked about it in the community. So and then we went through organizations. Different organizations helped me out. So I went to the we fought with the 11th Avenue School. My parents before that fought 11th Avenue School. White boys would run us home. They ran them home too. We had a fighting streak in our vein. We fought by the skating ring over there at Main Street. We could just go one night a week. One night a week we just could go. Okay, we fought to change that. Okay, so we came from a community of struggle and political understanding of the community and in the world too. So those were mostly my family and organizations, and the organization right there on 11th Livingston, the Center of Worship and Study came out of there. There was Nomo that came from there. Dr. Kelsey was up in there. Little Atiba was up in there. We had study group sessions up in there. So we studied and people. We had co-ops up in there. So we studied, and then we fought up at Ohio State University for Mwanza, who is Charles Ross, to come. And we were the students that asked, this is who we wanted to be the chair of our department. And the dean has historically have always chose the chair of the departments. Okay. And so he did choose them, but we asked for him. We asked for him, Mwanza. And Mwanza went up to 11th Avenue, protested against the flag, the red, black, and green. We was up there with him because the youth wanted to hang the red, black, and green flag up there on Cleveland, up there at Linda McKinley. My mother went to McKinley. I went to Linda McKinley. Our whole family went to Linda McKinley, and then they went over to North High School and graduated from North High School. So we had a history of struggle in this community. So we came from a history of struggle out of this community that brought us to every place I have gone through here. Went through the All African People's Revolutionary Party, went to the up to Ohio State, went with the students up there. We had organizations, all the kind of NAACP, the Urban League. They were revolutionaries of our time. And we fought to be in those and hire us to work and get us jobs and all that kind of stuff. That came out of this community here. So all my support network, before we knew Malcolm, we knew Garvey, because that's what the elders would talk about. It was Marcus Garvey. So we knew Garvey before we knew Malcolm. And then we was growing up, we heard about Malcolm. Okay, but that's what I can tell you. If there's more to come, to be continued.
Mr. Rouhani, I'm so glad to hear you this morning.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I want to give praise to you for giving that local history, because that's very, very important. And I also want to say something to Tawi right now, that I'm very happy to see the intergenerational park activity last week. That I think that is a step in the right direction to expand the organization and for Tawi to grow, and because we need that type of activity so that we can expand and pass on the knowledge that we're talking about today. It is not the knowledge for knowledge's sake serves no purpose. So it serves purpose only if we extend it down to our young people, down through the chain of intergenerationals, so that they can make decisions about their lives and build on whatever it is we pass down to them. So thanks so much.
Ashe. And Baba, I was just going to say what you were talking about. You know, one of the reasons I posed the question is because it helps us to get, not only to help in some respects relive our own history, but on occasion it allows us also to, you know, call those names upon whose shoulders we stand. Many of us have mentioned our mothers, you know, and the stories we tell there. And so these are the kinds of stories we pass down to those who come up behind us. And so, and just for all of your, or I guess you guys say FYI, you know, this recording is on transcript. And so should we need to review some of the stuff talked about in terms of getting that local history or familial history, it's available to us. Did anyone else want to pose a question, share a thought or two?
This is Elder Alona. Hi again, everyone. The ASCAT study group on Friday night we're reading the 11 principles from Elder Mariba's book. And Elder Mariba, one of the things you talk about in there, if you could just give us any more insight, and that is agreeing to agree. And how we work together when we have so many different ideas on directions to go in. We talked about that a little bit this past Friday, but
well, I can
insight in that area.
What people are telling me is that's the most difficult one. What I recall in my own village of Pittsburgh, this section of Atlanta, since we're talking about our own experiences and what Sister Mama Rouhani talked about was that we had standards in our communities around which we constantly aimed at agreement. Now that doesn't mean that we all didn't have different opinions about things. But when the rubber hit the road, we agreed that we would stand behind whatever it was that that wheel that was turning on the road. And so, but we went into it with that. In order to agree, that has to be the goal, and from the beginning, we have to reshape our thinking. We've been taught to agree to disagree. That's been the standard that's been taught through elementary school, sometimes through churches, sometimes through our organizations, and as if that was a good standard. Let's change the standard. That's my argument. Change the standard so that we start out with the intent of agreeing when even though we may have different opinions, let's shape those different opinions toward the apex, which is agreement. And that means that we all are working in one direction rather than pulling in different directions. And I think that if I had to point to one single thing that's causing us to be splintered right now, some for Trump, some not for Trump, some on the sidelines for nobody, some against themselves almost, it's because we want to have our own way, independent, yet we understand that collective I is greater than any single I. And so, but that has to be understood from as we organize. Otherwise, we would be in constant confusion and constant everybody trying to have their own way. And I've been told that that's difficult, and I accept that. But things that you don't get to the mountaintop by just sliding. You get to the mountaintop by climbing and working toward the peak. And I'd much rather see us work toward the peak of the mountain rather than just slide on the sides and almost anything goes because my way is the right way. Now, of course, I want to see us talk about that, struggle with it. It is not an easy thing to do because we all have been trained differently. We've been taught that. How many of us remember being in groups, being in schools, being in churches, being in sororities and fraternities, and the standard was, let's agree to disagree. It is so important that we change that. And that's my appeal now.
Why is balance so important in our life?
Certainly, I hope that there will be time when we can just sit and maybe brainstorm and work out ways of doing that. I know that that's the direction that we must go if we're going to build for eternity.
Anybody know someone who just gives all the time?
So Baba Kelsey
I'm not sure that doesn't answer your question. Other than to say that that setting a goal of
how about somebody that receives all the time?
Being there.
What?
If our goal is to agree, then we must set that goal and aim for it.
Thank you. Yes.
Now I want to say I have to throw this up in there. Being shy and not liking to be on camera all that much, and you already know how I am. I'm very, very shy and stuff like that, and right now I'm just writing up these invoices, and for all of y'all to share, so we could go share this struggle. But but what I want to say, is this. One of the things that we kind of jump over when we talking about Malcolm and organizing. One of the major pieces that Malcolm was able to organize around was a religion, which provided a similar set of codes, a similar set of values, that basically put a border around the community that allowed them to identify who was in and who was out.
You're breaking up.
What? Could y'all hear me?
Can you repeat that again, Hatem, please?
I be on the vibe when I'm talking. I'm breaking up. Are you sure? All right, well, I guess y'all know. But anyway, the point that I'm making is, can you hear me? Check 1, check 2. Is it still breaking up? Am I still breaking up? Can you hear me? Yes, no?
Yeah, you're breaking up pretty bad there, brother.
All right. That's because I'm shy and I really don't like being on camera.
Comes and goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna step off the camera. I know when the white man is working against me, so I'm gonna just. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So back to what I'm saying. They were able to organize around the concept of basically setting borders, is what I'm saying, because there was a certain way that individuals that they organized with operated. They had common views, common values, common things that allowed them to align. So what are we using as a catalyst? Because for the Nation of Islam, of course, Islam was a catalyst. For the UNIA, the Back to Africa or the Black Unity piece was very important because it was right in their face. What do we use to organize around during these times? Something that, as a black person, I can undeniably say, this is absolutely necessary and it needs my support.
Okay.
Repeat your question, bro.
Yeah,
I will not.
you know how we are.
Repeat your.
Hey everybody! Welcome back to Gye-Nyame Girls in
Question,
a different side of the
Tawi,
woods. Gina's not here today because she
Tawi
stitched us
is
for her
doing.
mom. So, but we're just walking in the woods with a
You
speed.
know I'm about to speed up, right?
Yep.
You gonna focus on. Well, and a lot of it. I mean, just in your earlier conversation.
So we're gonna walk and see if we can run into anything. We're gonna look for a rock today.
Do more.
So yeah. We'll try to run into. We'll try to run into a rock.
Other ways, on top of what you're already. Because if you get the use.
So.
Good? Good, my sister. As usual, we've holding up.
So I'm about to catch up.
Making sure it's all good.
Making
sure it's all good.
If you don't know.
Offering them to continue.
Passage organization at one time. A national rights to passage program. That use. I don't know the continued way that's going to happen.
There is a youth program.
Okay, what is it? Tell me what the youth program is philosophically.
We don't have enough time for that.
Well, you can do what are you going to do? What do you got enough time to do? What can you say in enough time? You don't have enough time to do it. What can you do in a time that you have?
Brother Hatim, just give her an overview of your youth program is. I think that's what she's asking. You got 50 minutes.
So, Mama Rahani, there are levels by which our youth advance through our program. There are certain questions they have to be able to answer. There are certain activities they have to complete, and they go through a rank. I'm sorry, excuse me. They go through a ranking system. And so Brother Taikis is one who's, well, let me just have Brother Taikis tell you some of the things he's had to go through.
He had to go to work. He left.
Okay. But in any event, so there are various things that our young ones have to achieve. They have to know in order to get advanced through the ranking system.
Permission to speak.
Yeah, both. Baba Darrell, you
Oh,
got the floor.
yeah. I was just gonna say that the things that Gye-Nyame is doing. Well, I'm starting off wrong, but Gye-Nyame, the things that they are doing is everything that we've been needing, and from the survival camps and all the other camps and I'm not that familiar with it, but I know of some of the things and the survival camps, just the cultural teachings, all of that. All those things are in place, and they've been in place due to Hatem. And like I was saying earlier, or suggesting, was that Tawi can build on that, and not just use that, but build on that. There's things that we can do to attract people on the outside by not just acknowledging the children that are in our collective, but outside the collective. So the word gets out, and that will strengthen our numbers. And it also gives us the opportunity to continue educating the outside community.
Now,
because this has got to be a continuous thing.
The issue, the question that I asked wasn't necessarily for us. It was a discussion around the overall community. Now, we have been doing the work. We have a circle that is small but is growing. I'm just trying to bring up a question, not to discuss Gye-Nyame and what Gye-Nyame is doing, or what Tawi and what Tawi is doing. What can we organize around as a community? And if that thing exists, do we know what it is?
We have a circle that is small but is growing. I'm just trying to bring up a question.
Who is listening? Is that
Gye-Nyame is doing?
Hello?
Yes. I'm getting a horrible feedback. Somebody is listening to the show and trying to watch it on the thing. You only need to be on one, family. You do not need to be on two. Go ahead.
Well, I'd just like to add that it is critical that we do that we consider all the things that are being talked about, but recognize that if we're talking about rites of passage, we're really talking about a whole lifespan from young to old, and there's a function for everybody that they must learn. The elders must learn their responsibility. The nation of builders must learn their responsibility. And you don't do it by just setting standards and having people repeat. You have it by them being able to see it in your life that you're doing the things that they're learning. Otherwise, it doesn't. The results are spurious at best, and maybe and at best, because you just have hit and miss. The good rites of passage would be in the community where people would want there to be involved. They would want to be, because they see the life that's being lived by the people who have set the standards, be they art or whatever they are, but they're seeing that everybody has a place, and nobody's place is considered higher than the other place, because even the children have place, because there's no purpose for our continuation. They are the ones who continue. The others have a place because they're the ones that have the wisdom to provide the guidance for nations to build institutions. That's just a thumbnail sketch of what a true rite of passage would do. It wouldn't. It would be a model for anybody in the community to join in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Got it. You got it. Go ahead with your question, please.
question.
Maybe they fell off. So going back to so Mama Rahani, a kind of thumbnail sketch, if you will, what's going on is that in Gye-Nyame, yes, we say we work with our youth, but it must be recalled that Brother Hatim has been in this for 25 years plus.
Mm-hmm.
And in as much as he's been in it 25 years plus, he has adults who still may come to him, whether it's to give advice or to receive advice. And so, as Baba Kelsey pointed out, yes, this is a continuation. And with Gye-Nyame, we have standards that help us and that push us to keep working. That's why, in many respects, this digital piece becomes so important for us, because in order for us to truly support ourselves and respect what's already been put on the table, I mean, shoot, Baba Darrell himself, has put out some serious content that we in Tawi use. That's intellectual property that we have through Baba Darrell. But without becoming too wordy, all I'm trying to say is that yes, we try to draw in the youth, but our maturation proceeds through our adult life. Mm-hmm. I'll stop there.
Somebody had a question. Maybe they got back on the line. Can you restate your question, please?
It sounded like it was Elder Eunice, and who had the question. So Elder Eunice, do you need to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay. I was coming asking a question about what Hatim was saying. What is it around us that we want as a people? When Malcolm went out, he had the mosque behind him, and they had their code. What is our code? So that if somebody says that we're going to speak with one voice, what is it that we have to hear in order to know when someone brings certain questions to us that all of us, no matter where we are, we say the same thing instead of 10 different responses to one question. So what is our one voice?
Permission to speak.
Yeah, and that seems to always become quiet when people ask, what do you want? What do Black people want? The Mexicans say they want immigration. Black folks should say, what do you want? And it's always a silence.
If I were to put it in one word, I'd say liberation. Mm-hmm. Now, how one phrases that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when we gave this intergenerational perspective on Malcolm X, that's why I gave the analogy of a circle. You know, a child may look at the circle, the figure itself, and think of that as a circle. You know, from another level, you may think of it in terms of, okay, if I move the circle this way, whether it's rotating it, whether it's reflecting it, whether it's translating it. Now, these are all algebraic terms expressing a certain kind of movement or positioning of the circle, but that takes on a whole nother depth of understanding to the individual. And so you ask what liberation is to, let's say, Taikis, or let me go before him because Levon's even younger than Taikis. So you ask it of Levon. Levon may give you an understanding of liberation. And keep in mind, these are all Gye-Nyame. You ask it of Taikis, he may give you another take on it. It doesn't mean that what Levon said is less true. It just means that Taikis with a little more experience may have just a bit more depth in his answer or in his response. And then you go to Hatem, you know, and then you go to Elder Cliff, and then you go to Baba Kelsey. And it's not that they're not speaking with one voice. It's just that the depth of what you get out of it is at a whole nother level. But it does come right back around, if I might use the metaphorical circle, it does come back around to when we speak of this liberation for which we struggle, are we going to have a particular kind of, for lack of a better expression, lexicon that we're using so that when Hatem speaks to me, and if I say 0 and he says hidden, if I say 3, he says what? Communication. You know.
How's it not gonna get it if we haven't tried? See, because this one of the
that's what we're doing. We're doing that now. He gave everybody has a different opinion, no matter what you ask.
Not now. Everybody in a sense on the outside may have one, but if he was to ask that question of people in Gye-Nyame, what is number 3? We're gonna have a similar answer. Now we might be able to explain it in different ways according to where the levels we are. See, because part of the issue with the question that are being posed is we have people who ask the question, but when you talk about speaking with one voice, we're talking about leadership. So the question I have to ask is, who do you think is your leader? Because that is the individual that when it comes to the final say and people want to come and talk to them, that's who they supposed to go and talk to. When it's addressing the community, we all could disagree, but when it's time for somebody to talk, you don't go to Brother Hatem and ask about this and then go somewhere else and that. No, there's one place where people go to get that information, and we don't have that because we have not agreed on the leadership piece because we all doing our own thing.
Right, that's where we are.
Now, but there are pockets of us that are doing that and is able to speak with one voice, but we don't recognize that. And what we keep on doing is we're trying to pull everybody in when everybody don't belong in on what we doing. You have never had a liberation plan, a liberation activity where everybody was involved. Not until the killings start, not until the actual revolution start. Then people got to make a choice. But right now, I'm just saying. I mean, it's like if we want. I'm breaking up.
You breaking up?
No, I stopped.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
We can move on. I'll listen.
I can hear Hatem.
I stopped talking.
Maybe it's just my phone.
No, it's not your phone. I stopped talking.
Nope.
No, I don't have any
No,
breaks.
it's,
Well,
I keep hearing how Tim breaks up.
Yeah.
Baba,
Well,
see you about to speak.
yeah, I was about to say that, you know, I hear the discussion now that then we need to address that and it's not an I issue, it's a we issue. We must address that. And that doesn't mean that any one individual or any one group within the group is doing better than the other, because it is the whole that we're aiming for. And otherwise, we'll just be, we'll continue to do our thing, and we'll be in darkness about what the answers are to the questions that we have. We need some collective answers to the questions we have.
Well,
that
Baba,
almost gets back to agreeing to agree, but it says we're stuck. It sounds to me like, and I think that it's important that we work to be unstuck.
No. Well,
and I would tell you that that's occurring all across the nation, because as I travel from one place to the other, that's what I see us stuck on, almost exactly where we're stuck on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm calling on Tawi, and I'm calling on any group that I'm talking with at that time, is to say, look, let's get unstuck so we can use our energies. Otherwise, our energies are just going in whole different directions, and almost moving nowhere. In terms of the definitions that we proclaim to adhere to. That doesn't mean we're not doing good work. It just means that our energy is being defeated by the fact that there's spurious answers to a single question.
Mm-hmm. Well, Baba. Yeah. Since I said I would yield because maybe I need some more information, and I need to remove myself from some of the entrenched ideas I have about the question. So that's the reason why I said I would yield, so I could hear some more of of the conversation that might help me to get a better understanding of what is it that we want, but not necessarily what I think is totally what we should have. So that's why I said I would yield back and listen. So I'm not closing down. I got my ears wide open.
Permission to speak?
Yes.
Baba Tony. What Elder Eunice has just expressed, according to the way I understand it and understand it, it's the African thing called Akoma Ntoso, which means that her understanding and the other understandings are trying to come to an agreement, and that's the heart. So her understanding is linked to her heart. And when she reaches that understanding with the other understandings, then that agreement will be agreed to. That is the Akoma Ntoso things where each of us approached it from a different understanding, but we will reach an agreement.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'll yield the time.
Right.
Brother Tony, Elder Tony, I think that's very wise. That recognizes that I don't leave, and Elder Eunice, I appreciate your comment that I'm not leaving. I'm just open to listen so I can become one. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we can reach that position among all of us, every one of us, then we're going to come to agreement. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the agreement might be yielding because our goal is that we're going to work together.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Permission to speak?
Yeah, well.
And we cannot fall into the trap of time. We have to use African time, not Eurocentric time, because in that case, they came up with the thing called the Robert's Rules of Order. Now, we're going to reach an agreement now. No. The agreement is reached when the understanding from the heart is modulated or brought into balance with the other hearts. Once the hearts are brought into balance, then, hey, the agreement, we already know what it is. It just happens, bam, and there we are. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Barbara Kelsey.
Yeah, thank you. I thank all of you, because all of us, because I think that we all are growing together.
Permission to speak?
People.
The reason why I thank you out front,ly because you are the Baba, number one. I have to recognize that. Number two, you're the one that said we speak with one voice. We use that as the sled, the vehicle, the light, the whatever you want to call it, to move forward on. And we've been moving forward on that, trying to get to understanding, have we reached it? Now, in my world, we've reached it a lot of times, but that's why I thank you for putting that out there. So that's what that was for. Thank you. I yield.
I have permission to speak.
Hey, well.
This is Reba, Hotep family.
Okay.
I've been on and have been kind of in and out of work and moving through my day, so I have not been able to comment until now. But I did want to mention that Justin, although I don't know the details of all that's been going on, but some of what I'm hearing suggests that in many ways you may be speaking in one voice, and the family may be speaking in one voice in a way that is not often realized. Sometimes we get into discussions around differences in logistics, ideas about logistics or how we think things should be carried out. But if we are continuing to center ourselves around practicing the principles of Ma'at, if we are remembering the teachings of Ptah Hotep in terms of the way that we approach the thing, then it almost doesn't matter as much whether there's an identified leader. And while I know that ultimately may become important just for organizational purposes, but if we're moving in a common direction and we're following those central principles, then that's how we're speaking in one voice. And so those other pieces really become, again, a matter of logistics. So I just wanted to offer that.
That sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's good to hear everybody's voices. I was telling my parents that I was on a couple of weeks ago when we had the discussion around Malcolm, and I said, it really made me miss home and miss all of you who have just all through the years been like my other parents, other aunts and uncles, other mama babas, and all brother Hatim, everybody. So it's good to hear everybody's voices, and I intend to participate more on the call.
Permission to speak?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't give you permission.
I yield.
We give thanks. Were there any other comments?
But I have permission to speak. I want to just send a Asante honor to Mariba for being on the call and to let him know how important it is to hear his voice and his wisdom. And I know that he's getting younger by the day.
Watch yourself.
But what you add to the conversation is, it seems to me, it keeps us grounded and keeps us moving in the direction that we should be going in. So again, appreciate you taking the time and being able to be on the line. And it's good to hear from you too, Reba.
And this is a perfect time. This is a perfect time. Hold on. This is a perfect time. Get Mariba Kelsey's book, 11 steps, right, at MaribaKelsey.com. And he will be on the show in probably the next week. And then also he's going to be opening up the DigiFest. He might not know all this right now, but, you know, better later than never, right? You know, so he'll be coming on soon to have a conversation with some of the nation builders, and also he has this special report out. Go to MaribaKelsey.com and find out more from somebody who's been organizer for over 75 years, and I could be wrong on that because it might be more. But anyway, thank you very much. And I have a question. I'm gonna need the addresses for all the people that I named, because I'm going to need to send an invoice because this white man is on my back. And because y'all want to talk about Malcolm X, I am now faced with a large bill. Thank you very much, Tawi family. I will be sending my invoices out. And thank you, Dr. Reba, for being on here, because you are on the list now, too.
Tell them to put it on the reputation tab.
Okay, hearing that this is Clifford Bowie, I'm going to have to get off for a minute, but that has been a pleasure listening to everybody. And I, too, am working on that speaking with one voice. Howtep.
Elder Cliff, before you get off, brother, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time. We appreciate your time. Please give Mama Debbie our love. Shemam Tep.
All right, Hotep.
Elder Cliff, permission to speak? I did the drum calls last night through the night, so to Elder Cliff to let you know that, okay?
All right, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. All right,
Thank
Hotep.
you.
Gotta go, though.
One love. And I didn't know if anyone else wanted to comment, but, you know, it's always a joy for me to hear Mama Nyambe's voice when I can. So, Baba Kelsey, if she's nearby, if we could just hear a shout out from her.
Nyame.
Okay. What's up, everyone? Peace and blessings.
We appreciate it, Mama Nyambe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you, Brother Kwame.
And by the way, Brother Kwame is about to get his
man.
Brother Kwame about to get his own show now, since he know how to work all this stuff now. So, y'all be on the lookout for Brother Kwame's talk show. I'm so glad he volunteered. I'm so good.
All right, Kwame.
Good job, Kwame. Good job.
I agree.
Baba Kelsey might remember. Remember when you all sent us out to ASCAC in LA back in about, I guess it was 93, 94, sometime in there. And the title of my piece was Ma'at Chematics. And so so my show's gonna be called Let's Talk Ma'at.
That's excellent. Oh man, we're gonna get to work on that. And one thing I wanna kind of, because we're approaching the end, but I just would like the family to step back, and because sometime Elder Tony said something to me years ago, and it was an old saying that stuck with me. He said, you know, you can't see the forest for the trees. And what I ask some of the family to do sometimes is step back and look at some of the stuff that's going on. Look at the pictures. Listen in. We're doing things. We literally do stuff as a community on a daily basis. And I just want people to start recognizing that when we start thinking about some of the stuff that we're not doing. When it comes to Kwanzaa nationally, we got one of the best Kwanzaas that pop off. When it comes to some of the celebrations, the numbers don't even matter. We are broadcasting nationally, internationally, every day, the stuff that we are doing as a family. So I want people to kind of step back sometime and look. And then if you want to compare us to some of the biggest cities, you could do that, because on par, we are at as far as organizing, as a tribe, as a family, we are heads and shoulders, probably above most of them. Not trying to brag. I just throw the challenge out there. You know what I'm saying? Because we got, I'm just saying, we got some good stuff going on here. Very good.
That's true. That's true.
But
Well, I can say from
say,
I can tell you from my vantage point that the Pan-African thought is more centralized in Columbus than it is in Atlanta, more centralized than it is in D.C., it's more centralized than it is in Tampa, because those are places that I know about. And so I think that you have a lot to be proud of, and that's why I keep encouraging us to focus on the common strength that you have, because that strength is very great. Certainly correct the things that you know. You have to do self-assessment along the way. Self-assessment is vital. And as you do self-assessment, you say, here's what I would need to correct, and let's work on that. But in terms of the doing, I think that you're more focused in many of the places I know something about. And I know a little bit about New Orleans, too. So I'm just saying, don't play yourself down. You are greater than you think.
And to also add into what Dr. Kelsey is saying.
That sounds like you.
To add on to what Dr. Kelsey is saying, if we look at the Pan-African movement, if we even look at the scholarship side of this, Columbus has nurtured the premier scholars that is, in a sense, doing the research and speaking on the behalf of black people right now. I mean, I don't understand, because sometimes I hear conversations and I get frustrated. Y'all got to excuse me, because I'm like, it's working. We're doing something, and we are influencing not only Columbus but the world. Not saying that we can't go farther, but what I'm saying is we need to look at the victories. We need to go and see what we're good at, focus on it, because there might be another community that might be able to rise up that will be able to feel what we are short at. I'm done. I'm sorry, Kwame.
Permission to speak?
No, I mean,
That African proverb was an Akan proverb, and we modified it. The APDS elders, this is back when, are like a forest. To those on the outside, we appear dense and together. To us on the inside, or as we get closer to each other or think inside, we still see each other and speak our own position. However, we still speak with one voice. Ashe, I yield my time.
Ashe.
That was back in 2005.
This is Elder Alona. May I? Elder Tony, because I like trees. I like the analogy or the metaphor that you came up with last Saturday. It might have already been with you, but when you explained it to me and asked me to watch the tree, I thought that was really nice. If you would share that.
Permission to speak? That's when I was younger, whatever that means, and I went to Baba Kelsey for advice because we wanted him to tell us what to do. That was the way we thought about it. And so when we went to him and said, Baba Kelsey, I have this problem here. What should I do? Well, his answer was to go sit up under a tree and think about it. And so we were like, okay, so how do I pick the tree? What's the trees? And all this kind of stuff. And he basically said, just go sit up under a tree. So as a result of that, at the event that was last week in Gye-Nyame, I went out to the camp, and I have a picture and a video of it. I found a tree because I know how to do it now. Oh, by the way, Kwame, I no longer have a circle now. I have a sphere. So anyway, I found a tree, and I set up. and I sat up under the tree. And what I understood is that the tree has a trunk. And on that trunk are all these different branches. And all those branches are all those different branches. And they all have their own piece that they're doing, but they all are like above and below. So the branches that are on the top of the tree, which one of the original symbols of APDS, by the way, they are also the same on the bottom. So as above, as below, above, as above, below. So it's all different and it looks different and it's doing different, but it's getting nourishment from the sun and all the environments. But when it boils down to it, I hope I'm getting it right, that they all are adhered to that trunk. They know their existence. Their job is to produce seeds, and then the seeds are carried by the wind and then produce other trees other places. So that's what I was talking. I shared that. I called Elder Kelsey up and shared that with him because we were still stuck about sitting up under the tree. So, but I do that for my eyes now, Brother Kwame. I look at the green as to help help my eyes get better. I'm almost getting crying here. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to go. Thank you. I yield.
Do thanks. And
thank you, Mama Lona.
Mama Lona, did you want to take it up from here?
Oh, okay. We're at near the end, or we're at the end of our divine conversation. This has truly been great conversation. I've grown, I've learned, you know me, I've taken all my notes, and this has been good. It's a beautiful day here in Columbus. The sun is out, it's sort of warm, it's clear. Sun is so important to us. It helps us with our melanin and melanin doing the vitamin D that we so need our immune system boost in this time frame. So if we can get out and get some sun, that would just be wonderful. Thank everybody for being on. It's great to hear Kelsey family in Atlanta. It's just all, yes, ma'am.
I am so sorry. I had one announcement I wanted to make. I didn't know you were closing, so I do apologize to the family. Could you just remind everyone of our call on tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, and also I failed to mention this in the announcements, but I don't know if everyone is aware that the Ohio Black Expo has been going on this weekend.
Yeah.
And I know that, I'm sorry, say it again, please.
The virtual broadcast.
Right. So there is one last broadcast today, right after we get off at 2 o'clock. So I just wanted to make the family aware, just in case anyone wanted to catch a bit of that. Also, the conversation has been rich. Thank you, Elder Baba, Dr. Kelsey, and all my whole family. But again, we can put this into action on tomorrow night. We have been doing so since Elder Phyllis and Elder Alona gave us the charge in April. And Dr. Kelsey, you would be proud to know that when we went to High Banks Park, we were in practice of all that you described, because we had from elders to Watotos, everybody engaging, as Elder Tony said, in their own way and as their own branch on the tree. And Tawi, we do it. We just got finished reading a book that describes everything that Tawi is doing. So we just got to continue on. We may need more education around what one voice is for those of us that feel more comfortable, but we can just keep lovingly doing the work. And I yield my time. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, Nation Builder Jill. Elder Tony, closing for us?
The permission to speak?
Yes, sir.
I'm doing. Mama Lisa and I. Lift every voice and sing. Till up in heaven, heaven rings. Ring with the harmony of speaking with one voice.
Let our rejoice.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Hey.
Thank you.
We give thanks, and if we are bringing it to a close, I'm going to take a note out of our sister Reva's book and close with this memory of you last because of the love for you. Ashe.
Ashe.
It woke.
All right, family, we want to thank y'all for tuning in. And, of course, you know, we got to go out in a proper fashion.
Where's Hot Tim?
Right here. We not done? Hello?
Yes, we're done. We're done.
All right, family, I'll see y'all later.
Hotep.
Jim Hotep.
AYIMBUBE is an acronym, Mind, Body, and Universal Balance Empowerment Institute. It is also Zulu. It means lion, of course. With that, we're working with resiliency. We're working with trauma-informed care. With all of the mind-body connections that we need to not only address so many of our ills, but also to heal from them. giant step that does it. It's a lot of little steps. Author unknown. How do you regulate? Yoga, meditation, and Bube. Mind, body, universal balance, empowerment. We're waiting for you. How do you regulate?
To have melanin embedded in our skin is a gift.
Oh my gosh, when I say too black, you say too strong. Too black? Too strong? Yeah.
We were born to be great.
Oh my gosh, when I say too black, you say too strong. Too black?
Born to be great.
Women, but the most important goddesses were black, not just for the African now in the civilization of the Greek. The Greek was so profoundly affected by the Africans that the goddess of chastity was a black woman, Artemis. The goddess of wisdom was a black woman, Minerva. The goddess of beauty was a black woman, Diana. And many of their great mythological figures which were critical to the vision of history, the history of the Greeks in the Odyssey, the woman who draws, who has the power to draw Odysseus and all his crew into her, is Circe, who is represented as a black woman with African features on the Greek vases. The woman who helps Jason win the golden fleece is a black woman, Medea. The woman who marries Perseus, the Greek hero, is a